Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Elizabeth Edwards, the founder and CEO of Volume PR, an award-winning communications agency that blends behavioral science with public relations, marketing, and digital strategies to help brands speak more effectively to their audiences. With over 2 decades of experience and a pioneering role in applying neuroscience to communication, Elizabeth has carved out a powerful niche in the world of strategic messaging. Elizabeth, welcome to Founders Future.
Good to be here with you. Thank you for having me today.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So, can you take us on a little trip down memory lane to before you started Volume PR? What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Yeah, so it's good to talk about the past to be able to understand the present in this case. So I began my career in communication, and I really wanted to get my degree when I was in school in psychological communication. And
Mm,
when I went to declare that major, I was existentially frustrated to learn that was not a thing. That's not a way that the world was looked at, merging the science of how the mind works and then the way in which we communicate with the mind. And
mm,
that's it just always seemed wrong to me, like a gap that needed to be bridged. So in my career, I first worked in corporate communications for Boeing and their aerospace division with Rocketdyne Propulsion and Power, where they made the space shuttle main engine down the hall from my office. The International Space Station was on the ground back then and still being
wow.
built in our facility. So that was fun. I really developed a deep love of working in complex sciences and working for complex technologies and crisis situations. There was a picture of the Challenger crew on the wall every day that we walked when we by our office. So it was really powerful and important work that I really enjoyed. But I wanted to apply my skills more in agency setting, and I moved over to Ogilvy PR. They back in those days, I feel like the old person saying things this way, but back in those days, tech was still a super specialty. And
Mm,
Ogilvy, everybody knows Ogilvy in the big agency world. They had a division called Alexander Ogilvy that was the subset of people who did telecommunications and optical networking and all types of deep tech PR. And so that's where I was for a while. And then in 2001, I started Volume as there was just such a tremendous opportunity to serve so many more technology companies that were at a smaller scale, more
mm.
startups. We really enjoy working with startups and incubators and different types of tech and B2B and science and complex companies. And there was just such a proliferation of those and a great opportunity. And 24 years later, we're still here and doing
Yeah.
that type of work and have added a lot more to it. And finally, I think solved that gap and closing that gap between the psychological sciences and skilled communication.
I love that. I love that. I think there's a huge need for it, like you were leading to before. That gap needs to be bridged in some way. I took psychology when I was in university. I wanted to become a psychologist, and I realized I needed 12 years of school, and then I was like, let me go into sales. And, I found a lot of similarities to understanding how people operate to being able to effectively communicate with others as well. I would love to fast forward to give the listeners a little bit more context to today, what volume PR looks like. Who would you say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there, we can dive into the different offers and services you provide.
Yeah, we really love working with people that have something important to talk about, something important to say. And usually that means also that there's some complication to it. There's
Mm,
challenge to it. It's not that we're kind of the example I've always used is it's not just selling bread or selling something really a straightforward item, but something where there's a lot of complication, a lot of complexity, and a lot of detail there, where applying a more scientifically precise approach is beneficial. So,
mm,
crisis communications is obviously something we do a lot of, but we really prefer and appreciate working with really thoughtful companies and leaders that want to influence with precision, but also some of what we talk more about now is not influencing indiscriminately. So
Mm.
it's a lot of what we do right now just by default because there hasn't been a lot of awareness around this psychological stuff we're talking about. But now that we do have more of this framework, we can see where there are ways to engage people that are not necessarily moral, not necessarily the way that we, once we understand all of the dynamics, we maybe make different choices in how we chart our path forward in the way that we engage people.
Wow, very, very interesting. What do you mean when you say not very moral or not in doing it more intentionally in terms of the way that you're communicating? I don't know if that made sense, my question there.
No, it totally does. So, have you ever seen the kids' movie Inside Out, the Disney
Yep.
movie, right? So, you know how all the characters are in front of a dashboard that's just full of buttons, and I think it's helpful for us to think about human behavior. And you and I, we all have one of these dashboards inside of us, full
Mhm.
of all these buttons and levers and whatnot. And what this moment in time that we're in right now in communication and in where there's all this knowledge in the sciences and all of this activation and marketing and communication, but yet the two have not really been intersected. There's no kind of labels on the buttons. There's no signs. There's no things that say, this one, why does it work? And there's some that are circled in that red and white caution tape because they work really well. And a lot of marketers are, and marketing media are saying, hey, look, these things work really well when we push them. So push them. But I use kid analogies because I'm a mom. So I have little boys. And when I'm trying to teach them that fire is hot, I know that it's really effective if I just stick their hand in the fire to teach them that it's hot and burn their hand. But that's not moral. It's activating them from a place that we know better. And so
Yeah.
we make different choices. And the same with this dashboard of human behavior. As we increasingly get more of the labels and the wiring understood in the just the fascinating phenomenology of who we are, the more we're able to make more effective choices in how we engage people, as well as not engaging people from ways that I think once we understand and see those dynamics more clearly, we all agree are not moral. So, hyper stimulating fear, scarcity, and urgency, because those are what make us move the fastest. Those are from states of activating microtrauma. And when we constantly do that socially as a norm, it has significant effects on civil discourse and so many other things. And I don't want
Yeah.
to get us all too philosophical, too big here and beyond.
No, I love that. I love that. That's what I thought you were alluding to, because when you read marketing books, you study this, they talk about all of these different buttons that you can push. Fear being a huge part of it, urgency being a huge part of it, people's feeling of inadequacies being a huge part of it, and really pushing those buttons. And that's a great analogy with the fire. It can be very effective, but it's not necessarily the most moral thing to do. And there's other ways where you can get similar results while being moral at the same time. So I would love to dive into that in terms of when somebody approaches volume PR, somebody who has something important to talk about, what are those different offers and services that you provide? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so there's three different categories. Mainly what we're helping folks with is they have some type of communication problem or situation or opportunity to address, and we're here to help them with consulting services around that. So whether that's strategic communication, public relations, marketing, usually it's a concert of multiple communication modalities that are helping to build a brand or tell a story or share information or promote products or things along those lines. So usually that's the first way that we start working with folks. And then there's many that come to us because they understand our science differentiator, and then there's many who've come to us because of our reputation otherwise, and then realize our reputation for results and things, and then realize it's because of this science. And so we then also have the science as part of everything that we do, but we also have a section of our work where we specifically just train organizations, communication teams, leader teams, sales, all of those on resonant influence or resonant communication. It's more not just about how do you go in and push all those buttons, but how do you play the symphony of communication so that people are wanting to buy and they are wanting to become a customer in a marketing flywheel way, not because you've gone in and you've electrocuted a sale out of them, but because there's connection and resonance and relationship between what you're having to say and what they're wanting to hear.
Yeah.
And there's more of that harmony. And then the third piece is AI, which I know you and I talked a bit about before here, is that how do we improve and support those other two with AI technology? And how do we, as all business people, as kind of everyone who's at this threshold of starting to work with AI technologies, how do we do that wildly, efficiently, effectively when it comes to communication and advanced thinking and research? And how do we also layer into it some of these new behavioral considerations? Because frankly, a lot of them are hard for us to integrate across a whole communication strategy. And AI is really helpful in helping us all reason that way.
I love that. So it sounds like to me, just to put it in my own words, you've got the consulting side, which is more that one-on-one personal touch, strategic communication, marketing. There's crisis management involved, but also it really depends on the person and what they need. So it's bespoke in that nature. Then it's the training the teams with the resident influence. I love that line, by the way, resonant influence. That's powerful. And then AI, which is how can we implement that into our organization effectively and seamlessly to work in harmony with everything else.
Exactly.
Perfect. When it comes to the customer acquisition, because I have a lot of consultants that listen to this, and obviously this is always a big topic. When you're looking to bring in more people to your, as clients to your agency, what does that lead gen process currently look like?
A lot of our business has been because we've been around for so long. We get a lot of referral, word of mouth, and we are a PR agency and digital marketing agency that knows how to do our job. So we do our own PR and we do our own SEO. And we also do AEO and GEO. So answer engine optimization and search engine optimization are those first two. And then now we're in the world of generative engine optimization and how
Mm,
we address our copy and content on our sites to be ranking across those. So we're very findable, we're very referenceable across all the fields of what we do. So we get a lot of work organically that way. And then I also, because of the science differentiator, about 10 years ago, it was when my team pointed out, like, hey, we have our whole own communication science system here. You should start talking to people about this, and help me realize, wait, we should go to conferences. We should share some of this. And
mm.
10 years after first starting to do some of that, I'm now really enjoy being a keynote speaker for a lot of industry conferences and associations and large organizations and things, and training on all the communication science elements as well as AI. That brings us a lot of really interesting companies and folks to potentially work with.
Powerful. I'm super curious your perspective on this because yesterday I had a gentleman on and he was telling me that his main source of leads is networking, referrals, word of mouth. And he said it's great leads. They're the highest intent, highest like no trust factor. So in terms of the ability to close, it's very high. But he also expressed frustrations around lack of predictability and inconsistencies for him specifically when it comes to that source of leads. I'm curious your perspective on that, and if you've experienced something similar, and if you have, what are you doing to navigate that?
Yeah, I think referral only can kind of change like weather depending on situation and timing. That's why we also really focus a lot on SEO, AEO, GEO content and really creating a lot of website content and taking a lot of those types of actions that make sure we are found when people are searching for the different types of problems that they need solving or looking for agencies and solutions like the type of solutions that we bring.
Yeah. So don't just focus on referrals, obviously expand beyond that is the big
Absolutely.
part.
You have to tell your expertise, explain what it is that you do, publish more. That's one of the things we absolutely need to be always doing more of ourselves too. It's always hard to fulfill as much opportunity as there is, but
Yeah.
that's really where I would advise to other consultants in this space to be focusing is really writing intelligent, thoughtful, long form content on the words and the things that matter and are really related to what you're doing.
Have you ever tried or thought of trying some sort of paid media?
We've done various Google ad and we participate, of course, in all of that space. Absolutely. And we do a lot of paid work for our clients as well. There's a smart synergy in and strategy around sponsored opportunities and certain award participations and things like that that can often be fee based. That's smart to include.
When it comes to the sales process, so let's say a lead does come in through the door, what are the different steps for them that they go through for them to actually become a client?
So it depends on what they're coming in for. Usually, if it's consulting services, it's a business. And so they're sharing kind of their situation analysis of what's going on, of what it is that they need support around. And we come back and explain, usually give a few different options of how we can approach that problem for them. How we would do that. Our work is usually done in longer containers. We usually work with folks for a year to multiple years. One of our
Mm,
clients we've been with for 17 years. It's really about helping them build very successful strategic communication. And a lot of our clients, once we're in there and we know your business, you want us to help keep refining and building your language and your brand.
yeah. When you think of your vision and where you want to take the company, obviously you've been around for a long time. So what does that next step look like for Elizabeth? What does success really look like for you moving forward, personally and professionally?
I'm really glad that we are moving more of our products and services online right now. We have a lot of online resources, PDFs, books, and online courses and things that are nearing completion and rolling those out online. So everything doesn't have to be in person. And I know there's a lot of folks have online courses and things already. It's a big universe of stuff we're working on over here, and bringing that into an online form has been a really big process. So we're really looking forward to how that helps us reach a lot more people and also bring the price point down, make it much more accessible
Yeah,
to for people to learn across the board.
yeah. I'm sure as a mom, it's nice to be able to work remote.
Absolutely. Yes. My kids are still young, so
Yeah, there you go. I'm curious, are there any specific revenue targets or performance targets you're aiming towards?
we're expecting to grow 30 to 40% in the next 18 to 36 months. That's what we're
Nice.
looking at as we bring elements all online. Yeah.
Awesome. What do you feel is the biggest challenge you're facing right now as a business owner?
Just time, just enough time in the day, because I won't sacrifice the time while my children are small. I know that if I was monomaniacal about getting books and courses and things out, we could do this within a few months. But my kids are young and I have a book due for a conference at a big keynote in a few weeks. And then I'm taking the rest of the summer off to just be with them for 3 weeks. It's the whopping 3 weeks to be with them while they're little instead of forcing out that course. And yeah, I could actually get a lot more money probably if I had a course right after that conference to funnel everybody into and run that whole machine.
Mm,
But in 24 years of business, I've learned that's you burn yourself out if you always are functioning that way. We are humans first. We're the people that we are first. I'm a business owner, was a business owner long before I was a mom, but I've put being who I am in my family before that in business, and all of the money will come, all the revenue and all the opportunity. It's all there and waiting.
I love that. That's a great mentality. If you were talking to new business owners that are starting in 2025, and you could give them some words of wisdom from your 24 years in business so far, and let's say they're starting specifically consulting firms, what would you say to them?
I'd say to master AI right now, that you can create multiple versions of yourself. three, four, five versions of yourself if you
Yeah.
understand how to use AI correctly and effectively. And of course, it depends on who you are and what your skill sets are. I'm able to use it as a marketing communication and psychological science engager and in ways that are very different. My AI says very different things than an untrained traditional model. But learning how to use that just multiplies exponentially your output and your individual potential.
Mm.
I would say from a technology or a first training piece to really understand how to put that to work in your business.
Any specific tools or resources you recommend for people to shorten that learning curve with AI?
For learning, we do a lot of bespoke training on that, and that's part of what we're bringing online. A lot of that. There's some good Facebook groups out there for just free and finding things. I think that what I recommend for businesses and consultants is to, first of all, you've got to be smart about privacy. And so, working within, we recommend ChatGPT Teams or Pro or the types of environments to make sure that are not training the model. So, whatever you're talking about, whatever your IP is, whatever you're discussing,
Mm.
training the general model. So, just make sure whatever tools that you use for your research, for your deep thinking and whatnot like that, that you have that in a private space. Like ChatGPT Teams is one that has that potential.
Okay. And then Pro as well. I the $20 a month one. Does that have that or no?
That doesn't. So you'd need to upgrade to the Teams, which is $25 a month.
Oh, that's yeah. Okay. That's good to know. All my personal information's out there.
It's training the models learning on
Yeah,
it. So,
got
for
it.
example, when I teach my model what it means when we say to have resonant affect, that mine's going to say something completely different than yours because it comes with
Mm.
hundreds of pages of training behind it of what that means. So
Got
that
it.
what we create and brainstorm on and ideate on and work on is just completely different.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of our world is going, where right now AI is super helpful in so many different tools. We could go off for hours about me showing you all the different tools that we're obsessed with over here that really, especially as a marketing agency, really transform the amount of time that it takes to do things that were so out of reach for so many businesses before. And it makes me so excited for so many small business owners of what types of things are now within reach because of the
Yeah.
multitude of tools. But first and foremost, learning how to just talk to it. And I think when you want to learn things, ask it to teach it to you. Really just going into that environment and going deep and challenging with some of those questions and
Yeah.
is a good place to start.
Yeah. I love that. For the people that are interested in working with you, what is the best way for them to reach you?
Just contact us through our website, volumepr.com or elizabethedwards.com.
Awesome. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time today.
It was great to chat. Enjoyed
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go to volumepr.com or elizabethedwards.com. And obviously, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically coach, consultant, or an agency, and you're really looking to scale your business and enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.